Hi everyone, my name is Jen Watson and I'm the Interim Executive Director for Brandon First. Our organization is a not-for-profit that works to bring the biggest and best events to Brandon, like the 2010 Memorial Cup, the 2017 and 18 Legion National Youth Track and Field Championships, the 2019 Tim Hortons Brier Men's National Curling, and so many more. When I started my career in the events industry as a marketing assistant with Brandon First about 6 years ago, I didn't even really know that event tourism was an industry. I didn't know all the things that go on behind the scenes to make things like Ag Days, the provincial exhibitions fairs, Canada Day at the Riverbank, concerts, trade shows, or major sports events happen. How many different businesses it takes, the army of volunteers, the hours and weeks and sometimes years of work ahead of time, how many different ideas and skills it takes from how many different people. And I fell in love with it. No 2 days are the same. The thrill of seeing an event come together is like nothing else. And I get to work with the most incredible group of folks every single day. This industry, by nature, attracts really interesting, supportive, creative, fun people. It's a great time. But don't take my word for it. I talked to some of those amazing people in the last couple weeks, and here's what they had to say about what's so great about working in the hospitality, tourism, and events industry. I hope you enjoy it.
Brandon's obviously a very much a event-driven city. There's obviously a lot of attractions here that showcase the city and make people want to come here, but events are a very significant part of the city. Always have been, always will, and that's why Brandon First is obviously very important in terms of trying to get the city to have that look and feel of a place where we can have not only our signature events that are already here now that are established, but even bigger and better events.
I moved to Brandon in 1993 and found out quickly that this is a host city for hosting major events. I think for Brandon, it is a big part of our economy, a big part of the impact of people from outside of our area coming to Brandon and enjoying our city. I think as Brandonites, we sometimes don't necessarily appreciate what we have in Brandon and the things that we do well here in the city, but it really shines through when you have people from outside our city come to Brandon and tell you what a great city it is, or what a great job we do in hosting events. So I think that's really important.
The most interesting thing about my job is the amount of people that I get to work with, right? We have so many different exhibitors and sponsors and service providers that I work with. So just the vast number of people that I get to work with, it's incredible.
The people, I think. It's different people every day. You get so many different ideas from people and see different things, see things differently. So I think that's the best part of the job for me.
You get to work with and alongside so many different people from diverse backgrounds, and there for so many different reasons, but everybody brings a certain flair to the table and has a reason and a passion for being there. Whether it's as a volunteer or in their career capacity, they're all there to come together for a greater goal, and for me it's about those connections.
Yeah, it's an exciting feel because it's always something different. So sure, some events will be annual, so you kind of do the same thing, but every year it's different, and it's exciting. It's kind of always a party atmosphere. Like people are coming and they're eating and they're drinking and they're enjoying themselves and they're seeing new things. So events is an exciting area.
Every time you meet new people, and working in events, you see the happiness. You be part of their big days, their weddings, their celebration of life. Also, you will be part of the families in Brandon. You will get to connect.
I rarely do the same thing twice. There's no 2 days that look alike, and you get to meet a plethora of people, you get to experience a plethora of venues, different areas.
To me, the most interesting is being able to offer an event that big to so many young people from across the country. It was just an absolute thrill.
Oh, the most fun is for sure putting on the actual show. Once all your hard work has come together and the event is running, there's no stopping it, right? So all your hard work gets rewarded once the event is actually happening.
I would say some of the hardest parts are the very, getting things off the ground in the beginning, building engagement, making people understand why it's important, or maybe why you should go down this path when there's a risk associated. And it's sort of building that understanding and awareness that can be hard, but also once it starts to come together, sort of the most rewarding part of it all.
I think the biggest part of having a successful event, and it may not just be a softball event, was making sure that you have things planned ahead of time, that you have your volunteers lined up for whatever those duties might be ahead of time, and that once the event kind of starts, it goes off without a hitch.
I've never had anything that I couldn't kind of get a handle on, but there's one thing. You know what that is? The weather. The difficulty I find is getting down to the small details. Those are the things you're running around at the very end of an event, planning, I forgot to get an extension cord, I didn't get this plugged in. It's those tiny little things that you have to exert a lot of energy to get done. The big things seem to come together nicely, but it's kind of just putting those fine little touches on something that I find that's where a lot of my energy goes, or what makes me exhausted, just before the event, is that tiny little stuff that, oh darn, I forgot this or forgot that. Got to remember to do this. You lay awake thinking about those things.
Well, nobody can hide it. The last 2 years were the hardest 2 years in our life. Not just me, for everybody in the event industry. We suffer. Some of us lost their businesses, and seriously lost their businesses. So that in my whole life experience, that is the hardest thing that we've been through.
Well, the hardest thing I ever had to do was do an event planning during a pandemic. Unfortunately, I did not get to end up having the show being shut down 21 days before. But, probably the most challenging part is working with different personalities. So in the event industry, communication is key, and you work with, so many different people and so many different opinions. And so you have to be a really good listener in order to be a good communicator.
Hospitality and events in general, they can be very challenging. There's a lot of aspects to them, but they're extremely rewarding. So it's an industry where you may not get thanks every day, but when an event is executed and you see everything in place, it's extremely rewarding.
Watching the whole thing come together at the end, and all of a sudden you're standing there in the center of something that's so much bigger than yourself, that couldn't have happened without thousands and thousands of hours put into it from people from all over the place, with all sort of different passion, like I said, for what they're doing, and standing there and taking it all in that moment and watching what has come together is just, once you get bit with that bug, you're never getting out of it again.
There's a lot of work that goes into it, and I know just from the outside perspective, from promoting these big events and seeing it firsthand, there's a variety of hurdles that people have to jump to get signature events or big events that come to the city. So I know the work firsthand that goes into getting these events, and I can't thank the people across the city who work tirelessly to get these events to come to the city and to help showcase what our city is all about.
They're all fun to me. It's that adrenaline of being in the middle of an event that you can't compare it to anything else.
There's a million reasons why I think events matter to individuals, to communities, and to regions and provinces. There's so many things. The economic impact that these events bring to the area. People have jobs and careers and businesses that thrive and succeed because of these types of things going on. But then also just the personal satisfaction that comes out of participating in events and also volunteering and helping to put events together. It's soul filling for people on every level, and I just think that it helps communities, regions, and people thrive and be better and come together for the greater good.
We want everybody to know how much Brandon is important, and for all our industry to let people in Brandon and the surrounding area use Brandon location. It's not just the hosting the event. They're coming here shopping for their dresses. They're coming here shopping for their decoration. They're coming here supporting each local business in Brandon. Is not just when we host our business. Our hotels will be benefit. Everything in Brandon. So if we host any event in Brandon, every other business will be like having a part of it and we need that. We need it. All the businesses in Brandon need this now to do stuff in Brandon.
Ever since I can remember, Brandon has always been known for its events. Brandon, event tourism is tourism. It draws a ton of people to the city. I'm case in point the Royal Manitoba Winter Fair, which is coming up just the next few weeks here, where it draws visitors from all across Canada, from down south across the border. These events matter a ton to the city, and in terms of the economic revenue it brings to the city, the impact. Without these events, Brandon would suffer. So these events matter a ton.
Hosting events like Egg Days matters to everyone. It matters to the exhibitor, it matters to the patron, it matters to the facility. So much of Egg Days is done outside the show hours. The hotels are full in Brandon, the restaurants are full, the bars are full, entertainment is full, right? Kicking Axe is full, the bowling alley is full. It is just such an incredible event to put on for our industry, but also for all of Westman.
Having events in Brandon is not only great for where the event's being held, it's everywhere in Brandon. It's the little boutique shops or, the shopping mall because people aren't getting to the city often or that kind of thing. It's good for everyone. It's not just the event where it's being held.
We need to bring events together for enjoyment of everyone, and if we don't put those, if there's not someone to do the planning, the events aren't going to happen. Probably not to the same magnitude either, because an event planner is able to have lots of resources and do the very best and a creative mind.
The event industry is real, it's unconventional, it's a lifelong career path, which, as we said, that's not something that you get told in school. You can be an architect, you can be a doctor, you can also be an event professional. And there's so many niche sections within the event industry. Guaranteed you will find something that you like, whether that's rentals, sports events, comic cons, trade shows, weddings, entertainment. You'll find something that you love.
One of my greatest experiences was doing the Special Olympic Canada Games in Brandon, officiating on that, because it was such a different experience and such a eye-opening experience with the athletes at that event, that if anybody ever has an opportunity to participate in any way with Special Olympics, take advantage of that opportunity.
Guess what? It's a fun thing to do, and if you want to do something, follow your heart and do what makes you happy. Being happy in a job you do, it's worth every penny. And I went to university and I studied and I worked an office job, but I wasn't happy. I love cooking, I love baking. I went back after 30 years of work to what my heart wanted to do, and I did it. So don't wait till you're 30 to do it when you're 18. Follow your heart and do what makes you happy.
If they're looking to get into the tourism industry, or if they're looking to get into the marketing promotional field, you got to be willing to go out on a limb, and you got to be willing to if you consider yourself a creative person, you got to be willing to be creative, and you got to be willing to put yourself out there a little bit and showcase kind of what you can do, and don't be afraid to do it, because if you're afraid to do it, and if you feel like if you do it, that it's you're not going to impress or what have you, that's not the right attitude to have, because sometimes creativity is sometimes things work, sometimes things don't work. But if you don't put yourself out there and be creative, then you're never going to know what's going to happen.
So I personally would get into the event industry because you never know when the next door is going to open. So, opportunities will always be there. I get phone calls on a regular basis asking me to come work for them. And you actually have the opportunity to do what you want to do, right? So, take the opportunity, talk to people, really listen, use your board to your advantage, right? Like some of the smartest people and thoughts, they don't come from me. They come from the people around my table. And so, take the opportunity to learn and listen and just apply yourself, because the more you put into your event, the more people are going to see that and the more opportunities you're going to get.
I think when people look at event planning as a career, they likely look at things like weddings, family reunions, things like that that are more family oriented. They don't necessarily think event planning is something like a major event, whether that's a Canadian Championship or a big horse show or what have you. So I think people need to think that event planning is a little bit different than maybe what they're originally thought it was. The other thing I think is important for young people is that we seem to have become a little bit of a society that doesn't necessarily volunteer the way that we used to. And I think it's important when you get involved in these events, even as volunteers, that it really helps with skills that you can transfer to whatever your professional career might be or other things that you might be doing in your life. So that would be the other thing I would encourage young people to do, is if you have an opportunity to help out with an event, even as a volunteer, that you take advantage of those opportunities, because there are a lot of things that you can learn and take advantage of as a volunteer to transfer into other parts of your life.
You're going to be doing something different every single day. Like, it's don't expect anything essentially. Something can happen today that'll affect tomorrow and the rest, or you could be in the same spot for 6 months, and that's okay, because end of 6 months, boom, doing something else.
Take the opportunity. You never know where that opportunity is going to take you. This is not something I ever thought that I would do, and it has been such a rewarding opportunity for me. And it's also kept my foot in the door, right? When I no longer could be an agronomist in the field, this allowed me to keep my foot in the door in agriculture. And I have built so many relationships that when I'm able to get back in the field, I know those opportunities will be there.
The biggest thing is don't be afraid to start at the bottom. So many of the people, especially in this organization, that are at the top started at the bottom. They were dishwashers, they were setup staff or that kind of thing, which are very important to the execution of events. Just because you're at the bottom doesn't mean you're not important, and it's your foot in the door. You work your way up, and it's that experience that you've seen all of those different roles. It makes you a great manager. It makes you better at your job in the long run. So don't be afraid to get your foot in the door and start at that low end position.
The advice I would give anyone is surround yourself with good people and trust them to do whatever job, responsibility, role that you've entrusted them to do, and allow them the ability to kind of handle that area on your behalf, because I think it really shows when you have a strong host committee, it leads to a very strong event, and not necessarily just the one or two people that are putting on an event.
And I think for the young people, you don't have to start big. You can start small, and build it to what you want. But don't be disappointed that you can't be big right at the beginning.
I would say go for it. Do get involved. You learn so much, and every event is different. Every event has highs and it has lows, and as I say, it's an education, but you meet so many wonderful people along the way.
What you can contribute through events like this will bring you personally so much joy and satisfaction, and
the connections and the relationships that you'll foster in doing things like this with people who share a common goal and passion is just, it's so worth it. So even though it's crazy and it's hard and sometimes you're going to question whether you want to keep going.
If you're a people person and you like to be around people, the event industry for you. And also we have jobs that if you don't want to be seen and if you don't want to be in like outside in the venue or in the dining room or outside, we have jobs in the back. You don't have to be hubbly bubbly all the time like me. You can be a person that likes to do their own routine, and we can set you up with exactly what we're expecting from you, give you a job description, train you on that, and you can come in knowing exactly what you do from the minute you come in till you leave.
You know, lots of times when people hear the word events, they just think that it's all for fun, and maybe that it is mostly a volunteer component to their life. But I'm here to tell you that careers can be made and centered around events and this industry, and you can thrive personally, professionally, in so many capacities through events, and give back to your community, but also just thrive professionally and personally from doing so.
Hosting the Legion track and field event was just so rewarding, and for anybody that gets into event planning, they're going to find the rewards outweigh everything else in your life. So that would be my little bit to say there.